This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Today on City Cast Boise, the mercury is supposed to hit 96 degrees on Saturday, so it's basically summer now. But how can you make the most of the season to soak up every ray of sun possible? To get you inspired, we're resharing our unofficial summer bucket list, from locals-only tips for tanning to what we really think of floating the Boise River. We're here to help you plot your perfect hometown summer. It's Wednesday, June 5th. I'm Frankie Barnhill in for Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. So I'm here to talk with our audio producer, Evelyn, and our newsletter writer, Blake, to hear their thoughts on the best, maybe also the worst things to do. So, Evelyn, here's the first question. What's your first activity that you would tell people they absolutely need to do?
Yeah, so me and my friends love to soak in the sun. As soon as the UV rays are hitting 8 and up, it's like it's go time. Grab your sunscreen, grab your tanning lotion. We're going to go find a patch of grass, a patch of dirt, sand, whatever, and we're going to lay there and we're going to tan.
And where do you go to do that? There's obvious choices and then there's some less obvious choices.
I have a controversial opinion here. So if you're from this area, you know not to go into the Lake Lowell water. Lake Lowell is just a big ick to a lot of people in the community. It's just not the cleanest water. One time we were tanning there and we just see a big dead fish floating up, old, crunchy. It was sick.
Not crunchy.
Don't say crunchy.
But that's why I think Lake Lowell is the best place to tan, because sometimes it's just so empty that no one's bugging you. You just have your speaker, you have your music playing, and you're catching the rays.
So I've never gone to Lake Lowell in the summer, but now I'm really curious because I've always kind of thought, oh, it's got to be so icky and the water's bad or whatever. But I do like the idea of going where people are not, because I think that's one thing is we know, and we're going to talk about, I'm sure, all the hot spots, like the places everybody goes. And sometimes it really, as the Treasure Valley gets more and more people moving here and more places get busy, it's getting harder to find places.
Evelyn, I have to ask, are there sandy spots at Lake Lowell?
Yeah, that's also one of the best parts about Lake Lowell is you have like your Caldwell section, you have the Nampa section. And so we kind of would switch around. Like if we wanted to be in Caldwell, we'd be on the docks. But if we wanted to go towards Nampa, still kind of border Caldwell, then we find a sandy area.
That's what always surprised me about Lake Lowell is that it's like always bigger than I think it is. Like if you look at a map, it's like actually pretty long. And I drove once along, I think, the south side of it. And it's actually really beautiful along there because like there's all the wineries and stuff. And yeah, I feel like it's underrated. But I'm curious to see if it does get more kind of on the map in the coming years.
Okay, Blake, that's a good segue. Would love to hear, what is your number one activity that you look forward to every single summer, or that you tell people to do?
So this is definitely probably something that I don't tell people to do because it's kind of my private little thing that I love. I'm very lucky to live within like a half mile of a really pretty part of the Boise River. And so basically my favorite summertime activity is hammocking somewhere along the river. So there's a spot and there's actually like a little island. So you kind of have to cross like a little bit of water to get out onto it. But you can kind of like get out in there and find your own little private spot, which I feel like is one of my favorite things about the Boise River is like it's so big that like everyone can kind of have their own little rituals with it. And so reading in a hammock is definitely my favorite thing to do along the Boise River And like, even if like there's a bunch of people on the river making noise, you feel kind of sequestered off on your own.
But it's worth it. Your own little private Idaho moment. That's
Yeah.
great. Do you like to go? Is there a certain time of day that you like to go and set up your hammock?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I think evening is honestly probably my favorite, kind of like a little bit before twilight or a little bit before sunset, I should say. And it's just like beautiful. Like I think you mentioned the other day, Frankie, you were talking about like, I think it was on Twitter, we were talking about like recommendations for summer activities. And you were like, I need things to do other than just like sit by the water and put my feet in the water. And I was like, give that to me every day. I have no problem with that. Like, yeah, it's amazing.
Blake, your water placements are really popping out right now.
Yeah, that's true. I do have 4, water placements. So I guess. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, you're right, Blake. I shouldn't downplay. I really do love just setting up a camping chair in the water, dip my feet in, and have maybe a beverage with me, maybe one friend, not more than 2. I keep it really chill.
Does Daphne count?
Daphne is now, 3 friends, because it's got to be my dog and 2 actual human friends at the most. And is anything more than that's too rowdy for me at this stage of my life.
Well, I'm sorry to you guys, but I'm the rowdy crew. I'm the one yelling. I'm the one with a bunch of people. I'll bring the chaos to your life.
We see you, we go the other way, Evelyn.
We will wave at you as you pass on the river.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Okay. So technically, the camping chair, the river's my favorite activity. But I'll give one more, which is kind of also a little bit chill sometimes, which is the Idaho Botanical Garden. I love the Botanical Garden so much. I really kind of fell in love with it during the pandemic and finding, places to be outdoors, but still not be in my apartment, that were safe to be around and to support it as a nonprofit in town. The gardens, there's so many great shady places. And especially when it does get to be that really like the dog days of summer, just super hot, 100+ days for weeks at a time. And so I found a lot of space to, bring a picnic, set up a blanket, and bring my book, maybe my journal, and do those kind of quiet things. But then also, of course, the Botanical Garden has the concerts every summer too. And so when I want to be social, that's also a good place to be.
Also, Frankie, I have to ask, I live very close to the Botanical Gardens, but I don't know. I just like have never, I just don't know much about that area, I guess. Like, do you have to pay to like access, like what's the lowdown?
Great question. Yes, you do pay to enter the garden, but there's so many different gardens, and honestly, the bang for your buck, it's really there. So for adults, it's $11. And then for kids age 4 to 12, it's $6. Seniors 65 plus is $9. So $11, then you have access to the garden. And honestly, I just like kind of stay most of the day. I kind of camp out there. I bring, like I said, a blanket, a book, maybe one friend, and we find a shady spot. There's like water, a lot of water features. The English garden is one of my absolute favorites. There's just a lot to look at. And then it's just fun to look at plants. I love just taking in greenery, especially when things start to get a little brown. It's like my eyes need the green to really like cleanse my palate a little bit.
I've only experienced the garden in the winter. So I think I have to add that to my summer bucket list.
Okay, good. I'm glad that I've convinced you to try it out. Well, I got to add Lake Lowell and getting a tan, although I don't tan, so I don't know. I'm like insanely fair-skinned and pale, so but I'll still go check it out just for the scene.
Yeah, don't expect much, but definitely add it to your list.
Okay, and I think since we're still talking about water and how to cool down and places to go that have shade, I bet we probably got some suggestions around this from some of our folks, some of our friends on socials. Evelyn, what did we hear from people on Instagram about what their favorite summertime activities are?
Yeah, so on Instagram, we had someone tell us that they enjoyed walking on the Boise River, hiking along that. And our good friend Stephanie told us that she likes to float the river, which is a super popular one.
Absolutely. And I will say, I'm not saying that floating the river is something I don't do, because I'll probably do it once every season. But I do find myself getting a little bored by the end of it and wishing that I was just kind of sitting out separately and in my camping chair, basically, going back to that. But I like floating the river, but maybe not every single year. Or every more than once a year. What about you, Evelyn? Do you float every year?
It's so funny because my mom would not allow me to float the river. And it wasn't
Really?
until I turned probably 21 that I was like, okay, I'm gonna go float the river. And she was like, oh my God, are you okay with that? Are you sure? I don't know if you can do that. And I was like, Mom, it's gonna be great. And so I get there with my friends, we rent the equipment, and honestly, my life changed. I love it. I love floating the river. It's always on our bucket list. Me and my friends try to rile as many people as we can, pack our cooler, and head to the river.
Where do you put in? What's your spot?
Oh my God, we're so basic. We start where everyone else starts and we end where everyone else ends.
But that's the thing. You like to be right in the middle where everybody is and have it be a really social event. So that makes sense to me. Blake, do you have any final thoughts kind of on river stuff?
I think it's just a good idea to try to come up with your own space. If people are really into starting at Barber Park and going to Ann Morrison, you can really make an event out of, especially with a bunch of people. I have done it with a smaller group before, and I think that that's part of the problem, is that it's just start of hour 2, you're like, okay, so now I'm tired and I just need this to be done. But with a bigger group of people, it's a lot more fun.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Okay, let's go to a second activity for everybody. So I'll go first, actually, with this one to switch it up. So my second favorite activity is I love going to a Boise Hawks baseball game. And I like doing it by the Greenbelt. So I like biking to the stadium. And the stadium's kind of trash. There's been talk for many years of a new Boise Hawks stadium. We'll get into that another day, perhaps. But it's still super fun. I love a good concession stand hot dog, and I like the 7th inning stretch, and I like doing, all the silly games and stuff that goes on. I like having a cheap beer while I'm watching, and I like being there with friends. And especially on the nights where they have fireworks, it's really fun. Classic summer experience, Boise Hawks baseball. I don't know who's on the team. I'm not really following it that closely, but whatever. I played softball when I was a kid. I kind of know what baseball is about. But honestly, it's just mostly just to hang out in the stands and have fun.
It's all about the vibes.
It is.
Yeah, I agree. I grew up hating baseball. My mom loves it so much. And so she would always have it on the TV, and October was just my least favorite month because it was just the whole month it was on TV. And then the first time I went to a Boise Hawks game, I was like, oh, I get it. Okay.
It's kind of fun. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a good time.
Well, I might need a husband, so maybe I'll join you one day.
And it's definitely a sport that's more fun to go to than to watch on TV. Definitely. Let's see, Blake, what's a number 2 activity that you would recommend?
I just have a lot of really fond memories last summer of going out, particularly to the Neurolux, sitting on their patio. First time I ever really got into beer. Just never been a big beer drinker, but yeah, I just really fondly remember sitting out there with friends last summer, just like so happy to be outside after it was 110 for the 10th day in a row. And it's just a good place. I really love the Neurolux. So just shout out to them. I feel like they've been around for a long time and I love it.
A Boise icon, to say the
An
least.
institution, truly.
Evelyn, what about you?
Yeah, so this activity is one that I say I'm going to do every single year, and I never, ever do it. It's like, okay, I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to do it this year. And it just doesn't happen. And we're taking it to the 2C where we have a drive-in theater. I haven't gone since I was like 5 years old. And I'm like, now's my time. I have to go. And I
So much
never
nostalgia.
go. It's amazing seeing all the cars line up. The movies are about to begin and everybody's there. It looks like such a fun time. So I really hope that I finally send it and go.
Wait, is it Terrace? The Terrace, right?
Yes.
Okay, should we do lightning round?
Yeah. So Evelyn, this one's to you. Summertime, what's your favorite like summer fruit or fruit salad kind of a thing? We all need fruit during the summer. So what's your go-to?
Absolutely. I'm going for a mango and watermelon. And then we're going to grab our tajin and chamoy or other hot sauce, and we're going to pour that on there. That is the supreme fruit type of salad.
Oh, I love that. It sounds really hydrating, too, with the watermelon.
Oh, yeah. And you can just mix and match and just start adding a bunch of fruit, like the Mexican fruit cups. Supreme.
Do you take that on the river, Evelyn?
I think we have once or twice. I'm not even going to lie.
No, that sounds amazing.
I can't remember, but maybe I'll do it this year. I'll give it out to people. That's how I'll make friends on the river. I'll be like, hey, come here. I have fruit for you.
Little to-go cups, just toss them.
Yeah. All right, Frankie. It's 100 degrees outside and it's smoky.
Oh, no.
How are you coping? What are you doing?
I'm having a lot of climate anxiety, first off. But after I calm myself down a little bit, I'm going to head to a movie theater. And in particular, I'll probably head to the Flicks and watch some indie movie, whatever, maybe whatever my friend George Prentice recommends, because shout out to George Prentice. He's got great movie reviews, great taste, and the Flicks, it's cool, it's dark, and their air is pretty fresh in the summer. They have that new air filtration that a lot of places installed around COVID. And so you can escape the heat and escape the smoke for at least a little bit.
And they have food and drinks.
Oh, yeah. Food and drinks. Yeah, exactly. And great films.
The first time I went to like a non-chain movie theater and they were like, do you want anything to eat? The like actual meal-wise, I lost my mind. So exciting.
It is thrilling. It's a special thing to be able to like actually eat a real meal at a movie theater. Okay, you have guests coming from out of town for the first time this summer. What do you make sure they do? And maybe on the reverse, what do you make sure they not do because you think it's a little overrated?
So I love a good farmer's market. And Caldwell has a really cute farmer's market. And of course, the Boise farmer's market is really great too. So I'd love to take them to either one of those. However, I don't think we're going to go to Table Rock. While it is quite the view, I think it's just not my favorite anymore. And I think it's kind of lost its hype. It's so funny because growing up in Caldwell, all of us are like, let's go to Table Rock. Let's go to Table Rock. And like that was the thing to do. And so now I'm like, no, we're not going there.
Yeah. So no shade to kind of like the artist community. I feel like Freak Alley has kind of become a little touristy. I think it's fun to walk through like little sections, but I think I grew up outside of Boise. And so kind of every time I came to Boise, as I got older, I got really excited about Freak Alley. And I think that I just kind of overdid it a little bit maybe. So I think maybe it's just an area that I really wouldn't think to take people anymore. Maybe that's just selfish of me. But if places that I would take them would definitely be Water Bear Bar, because they have rotating like super summery fruity cocktails that are just delicious, and it's like such a delightful space, and I feel like it's really, really special to Boise.
Okay, I would take people to Garden City, and specifically I'd take them around the Live Work Create District by Searles Place. I would take them on a walk or maybe a scooter ride if we feel up to it on the Greenbelt in that area. And we'd go to Push and Pour for coffee. We would go to the water feature where all the kayakers are doing all their awesome tricks, or the surfers are out there surfing. And we would watch and cheer for them. And we would just have a nice time, walk around Esther Simplot Park a little bit. And yeah, I think as far as what I would not do, it probably also would be floating. I know we've talked about that a lot. We don't want to sound like an anti-floating podcast. Evelyn, I know you like to float, and I probably will float at some point. But yeah, I probably wouldn't do that in large part just because it takes up a good chunk of time. So if they're only here for a little bit, maybe I wouldn't take them floating. Okay, where do you go for a drink on a patio? Blake?
I already said Nerlux. That's my answer, but because I already did that, I would go with Juniper or Prost. I'm not going to pick. You can't make me.
Okay, 8th Street. Got it. Evelyn, do you have one?
I went to Reef. Finally, I went to Reef and I got a drink there.
And that's an interesting one because technically it's a rooftop patio. Mm-hmm. I like it. Which, side note, Boise needs more rooftop bars. That's a thing we need to lobby for. Whoever we go to lobby, someone let us know. Okay, and final super lightning round question is, what are you going to do this summer that you haven't done before, that you've always wanted to try? I will start. I have never gone to the sand dunes, the Bruno Dunes. I hear there are snakes. That freaks me out. So I'll go sooner than later and hope to not see snakes. Evelyn, what about you?
I love being in the water, and I've always wanted to try paddle boarding. I've never done that, so that's definitely at the top of my list.
People who paddleboard are brave, because I have seen so many trying to stand up through rapids and fall, just like dominoes, one after the other.
Yeah, don't be afraid to just stay on your knees. It's okay. Don't be a hero.
Yeah.
I'll take it slow.
Yeah.
There are dogs who go on the paddleboards, though, and they're so
very cute.
Adorable. Yeah.
Yep.
I think for activity that I've always wanted to try, I mean, I have tried this, but I just want to bike more around Boise. I feel like there are certain sections of Boise that are very bikeable, but I just want to start biking more. Obviously, there are lots of benefits to it, but I just think that it's such a beautiful way to see the city.
Absolutely. You can take in so much on a bike. It's so true. Okay, we have a long list of bucket list items for this summer now. I think we can all go into this summer knowing that we've got plenty of things to keep us busy. So Blake and Evelyn, thanks for being here. And let's go have a good summer together.
Thanks. I'm excited.
Yeah, thank you. I'm ready to dive into summer.
All right. So what did we miss? What are you planning this summer that you just can't wait to do? Let's create the ultimate 2024 Boise summertime bucket list. We'll put a link in the show notes where you can add your ideas, and you could get a shout out in our Hey Boise newsletter when we publish an updated list. That's all for today here on City Cast Boise. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.